With Kuminga under the spotlight, there has been one particular Warriors player whose development has been going slightly unnoticed. He's been quietly improving his game away from the cameras, but despite this, there are obvious upsides to his potential and what he could bring to the team. Hey, what's happening, everyone? This is Swish Culture. While he's not stealing glory with any flash or groundbreaking revelations, Moses Moody has been a solid backup piece for Golden State. More than that, however, there's plenty of evidence to support his eventual blossoming into a foundational piece in a future Warriors lineup. While we don't see him fill up the box scores with points, rebounds, and assists, this doesn't mean Moody isn't being impactful on the floor. As a matter of fact, when he shines most is when it comes to those things that don't inflate his statistics. His projection doesn't scream superstar, and he'll likely never be able to lead a team, but with his unique skill set, he projects to be, on most nights, the difference between winning and losing. Tangibly, he becomes a hybrid of sorts as compared to his teammates in what he provides. But let's back up for a bit to see just how he got here. When he was originally drafted at 14th, Moses Moody was listed as a shooting guard at 6'6" with a 7-foot wingspan. That length would allow him to be an above-average defender, making him a starting level player on a championship contender. This would obviously take time, and he's still currently a work in progress. He's seen plenty of minutes in the G League, and whenever he's played against lower level talent, he's always been superior. His major issue is that this hasn't translated into his game at the NBA level, and the hope is that he'll hit the switch sooner rather than later. A lot is riding on him hitting his stride this year, being his third year in the league as he's now considered a veteran, but not so fast. This may take some time, and if it does, the Warriors should still keep him around a few more years on a team-friendly contract. I'll explain all the details in a complete breakdown on Moses Moody's original trajectory, his present state, and where he will likely be in the next few years. But before we get into it, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Swish Culture for the most analytical and entertaining NBA content. So without further delay, let's get to it. In his first preseason game back after the summer break, Moses Moody put up 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists in 24 minutes. He was 2 of 6 from 3 and shot 46% from the field, scoring 6 of 13 overall. These don't exactly pop off your screen next to JK's 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. However, that's not the full picture. Through all this, Moody's only had a single turnover. Now, I typically stay away from comparing young players in different roles on the team, but in this instance, I'll make the very important point of noting that he played the same number of minutes as Kuminga, yet JK had 5 turnovers while attempting only 1 more shot. This is important because in last season's playoffs, Moses Moody was able to play 161 minutes combined for both series, while Kuminga played only 61, unplayable in the Lakers matchup. Steve Kerr trusted Moses Moody in those limited stretches where he wasn't able to play Kuminga simply because he took care of the ball and, as I mentioned in the prior video, played great defense without fouling. Now in Kuminga's defense, he is tasked with guarding much bigger players, but with 2.2 fouls per game in 19 minutes compared to Moody's 0.8 fouls per game in 12 minutes, their career averages, he was fouling opposing players at twice the rate. So you put those two things together, excessive fouling and turning the ball over, and a close game can suddenly get out of hand. Throw a bad shooting night in the mix or just a bad offensive night in general, and things could get way out of hand fairly quickly. JK is more of your high-risk, high-reward player, and in a playoff type of situation, this is typically not a risk worth taking. With Moody on the floor, the offense is more controlled and the defense is more predictable, but these are just a couple of the small things that Moody brings to the table. He's a low-risk, low-reward player, but that's only for the moment. And here's why. One of Moody's comps coming to the Warriors was Klay Thompson. The Warriors saw an elite 3-and-D wing prospect in his future, and if he played behind KT, within a few years he could fit into the current championship formula. Now, while this is still a strong possibility, it doesn't exactly need to happen this year. Like I said, Moses Moody does these small things that matter to winning. His main focus is to hit his threes, grab the rebounds, and play physical defense. With a 7-foot wingspan, he's even longer than Kuminga at just 6'11", so I cannot stress how important of an advantage it is. Moody's fundamentals are exactly where they need to be, so he's got the perfect template to build a 3-and-D wing type role player. You drop a player like Klay Thompson in his sights, and it's only a matter of time. That time will be determined by the Warriors' championship window, because until then, his main role will be to continue to get better at what he does. So what does this look like? Last season, in 13 minutes per game, Moses Moody averaged 4.8 points, 1.7 rebounds, and 0.8 assists per game. He also averaged 36% from 3, which is league average, and 48% from the field overall. He has 1 turnover every other game, which gives him a 1.6 assist to turnover ratio. Again, these small things. On the grand scale, he won't elevate the team much, but he also won't hurt it either. At his current level of production, incremental improvements in his rebounding and passing is all the Warriors will need, at least for the foreseeable future. That is, as long as Klay keeps being Klay. If Klay sees a decline, then the sooner Moody hits his stride, the better. Considering they're having Klay guard 4s going into this season, the coaching staff seem fairly confident that this won't be happening anytime soon. Either that or they might be quickening Klay's descent into a bench role with the increased wear and tear on the 13-year veteran. Things do get a bit more interesting, however. Klay Thompson will be eligible to re-sign at the end of the season, which will likely mean some finagling with the contracts based on a few different things happening this year. Consider the fact that Moses Moody will be up for an extension at the end of this season as well, and this gets even trickier. What we'll likely see is Klay is still Klay, he plays great, and the Warriors possibly give the then 34-year-old a team-favorable contract. Considering Klay was out for 2 years and was paid an enormous amount, I don't think he'll complain too much. Moody makes some improvement to his game, but not a whole lot. He signs a team-friendly contract extension and continues to play behind Klay for maybe another couple of years. What could happen, however, is that Klay may not play so great, and that could be a pretty bad sign. The Warriors wouldn't be able to offer him much. You combine that with Moody taking a potential leap this year, the Warriors have to throw in the bag, and both he and Klay could be battling for minutes at the 2 spot come next season. So now you have both extremes, and the outcome could be anything in between. That said, Klay is safe this season, but he's got his work cut out for him, similarly to Draymond last season. Now, going into this season, it's highly likely Moody will be getting a lot more than the 13 minutes a game he did last year. 20 minutes a night isn't out of the question, and he's looking at likely being 3rd or 4th off the bench behind Looney or CP3, Kuminga, and Dario Saric, but could be 1st or 2nd depending on who's been playing well. While this year will feel like a pretty big test, there isn't much boom or bust. Just solid minutes of taking care of the ball, defending at a high level, and making his shots, which I've noticed he's hesitated in shooting a lot in the past, so with a 2nd year of experience under his belt, Crow will likely give him a greener light, which will also boost his confidence, and potentially we could even see an increase in his 3-point shooting percentage to above league average. Earlier I mentioned that his game hasn't exactly translated from the J-League, and this is one of the likely reasons, is that his role is quite limited and he's not exactly a featured player. Considering he was able to get significant playoff minutes, relative to Kuminga anyway, it's safe to say Kerr's been building a significant amount of trust in him, and he'll be in the rotation for the duration of the season. That trust and giving Moody more freedom offensively could be the key to unlocking his full potential. So now both Kuminga and Moody are chasing the bag this year, and if both are successful, that will give the Warriors some financial problems. With Dre's bag already inked, they might have to make a tough decision or spend heavily into luxury taxes next season. With Chris's contract coming off the books at the end of this year, it becomes a catch-22 if he helps the Warriors win a championship. I think it was Biggie that said, "Mo money, mo problems." Let me know if I've left anything out regarding Moses Moody, and whether or not you think he'll take a leap this year. Post your thoughts in the comments below, but before that, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all your notifications so you don't miss any of my latest uploads. Till next time. Swish.